welcome to another sparkling edition of Plank of the Week. Here is the plank, and here are the two people who are going to help me decide who's going to get it this week. It could be an organisation, it could be a person, it could be a woman, it could be a man, it could be somebody of non-binary gender, perhaps, or sexuality. Dawn Neesom is back. Welcome. Thank you for coming. And Mahyar Tousi makes his return, I think, for the first time this year, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been ages since I've been here.
It has been. It has been ages.
Why have you done that to him?
Well, it wasn't my fault.
It was
the government. It was the government. No, it was the government. COVID restrictions. He wasn't allowed in.
China.
And look,
Sod the restrictions.
Celebrating so much that he dressed up for it and everything. Thanks, Mahyar.
That's the first time I'm wearing a t-shirt here.
You know,
we know someone else that wears t-shirts a lot, don't we?
We do. Yeah, his name might come up
but
later on.
mine isn't that tight.
No,
it's only tight because I've been drinking beer.
It fits you. It actually fits you.
moves.
Unlike the other bloke. Right. Anyway, Mahyar, you should kick us off.
Okay, I'm going to start with an easy one because it's been a while. He deserves to be mentioned. Jeremy Corbyn.
Brilliant.
Because
he hasn't been on it for ages.
I forgot he existed until he opened his mouth again on Twitter. He is a very, very pot kettle black situation. So he has been tweeting.
Can you say that anymore?
I think so. Yeah,
I think you can.
I can say it. No.
He can say it.
No, but the whole situation is he tweeted against Viktor Orban, talking to our Prime Minister. How dare two leaders talk to each other, obviously, because. Jeremy Corbyn's problem with Viktor Orban is that Viktor Orban is an anti-Semite. I'm like, do you have a mirror?
That's great.
Makes absolutely no sense. But he proudly tweeted that without the sense of any irony or self-awareness. And his supporters, the whole thread was just how Jeremy is basically standing up for people in Palestine who want to get rid of Israel, but is not an anti-Semite.
No, not at all.
I don't know how it works, but if you could explain to me, it would be great.
No, well, he could probably explain it in the way he explained that wreath laying. Remember that when he was standing sort of near a Palestinian terrorist grave,
but he was just there.
He was just there holding a wreath nearby.
See, I think the thing about old Jeremy Corbyn is that he doesn't think he's an anti-Semite, even though the EHRC thinks he is, even though Keir Starmer thinks he is, even though the Labour Party that threw him out or suspended him thinks he is.
Well, Hamas and Hezbollah think he is. That's why they're friends with him. If he wasn't, they would not be friends with him.
That's a good point.
But he thinks just continually saying that I'm not anti-Semitic.
It doesn't
means he isn't.
Really, no.
You know?
No.
But I mean, you just can't get it right. Anyone in Labour, can they? They cannot get it right.
No.
No, I mean, the thing is with Jezza, I mean, he cares more about Palestine than he does about Pontefract.
Yeah. He does.
He doesn't give a monkeys about the traditional working class Labour voter in this country.
No.
He cares about Palestine more. And if you were going to vote for anyone, you really wouldn't be voting for him now, would you?
You really wouldn't.
But you've got Keir Starmer. Sorry.
Well, we might be talking about Sir Keir Starmer coming a bit later on. Who's your first one, Dawn?
My first one, I really don't like doing this, girls, but I'm going to nominate a woman.
Are you?
Yeah, a woman.
Well, you're breaching the sisterhood thing.
How do you say woman's? In any case, evidently some blonde bird.
Oh, yeah.
Married a Randy Old Git this week.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know. Who'd have
that one
thought?
passed me by.
I know. I don't
Well,
think
another
I
one.
got much coverage.
Yeah.
Much coverage.
The secret wedding you're talking about.
This is
Everybody knows
a
about
young
it.
lady called, Secret Wedding.
Not much of a secret, is it?
Front page of the
It's
Mail.
so secret, it was a bit of mail on Sunday.
I know. And this is a young lady called Carrie Simmons.
Is it Simmons or Simons?
Who cares?
I don't really care.
But it's actually Johnson.
Well, now it's Johnson. So now we
know it's Johnson.
Yeah.
Now we don't have to worry about what we call her, whether it's Simmons or Simons.
No, she actually has changed her name straight away.
That didn't take long, did it?
No, I know. And she married some bloke called Boris.
Boris Johnson.
Alexander.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how can you marry someone called that and then it's like that? Mike
Interesting that they were able to get married in the Catholic Church as well. Because the Catholic Church is so modern, right?
Yeah.
That apparently they don't understand that you're allowed to get married in any other church. So if you get married in another church,
that's not marriage.
You're not really married.
No.
It's a bit weird, isn't it?
It was a bit weird. I had trouble with that. And
you don't think it was just because he was the Prime Minister, do you?
Do you think?
Do you think they just came up with that one?
In any case, the timing was a bit, call me cynical. People have. But the timing was a little bit,
Good timing for them.
Good, yeah. Maybe burying bad news.
I don't know what bad news they need to bury because I don't know what Boris has to do for people not to like him.
I mean,
Dominic Cummings, who might also come up later on, he calls his Secretary of State for Health basically a liar.
Which he did have a point on.
Well,
it's true.
Defence of truth. He then says that the Prime Minister's not fit for the purpose, can't do the job. And nobody cares.
No.
No, it's because you're right.
ratings.
Firstly, this secret marriage thing, secret wedding thing, which is a trend now, because apparently other couples, certain couples who are in California, also did secret weddings 3 days before their actual wedding.
Oh yes,
Meghan.
No, that's not a secret wedding. That's an imaginary wedding.
It's fashionable.
That's an imaginary wedding.
That was her truth.
Yeah, that's her truth. But no, as Mike said, to be fair, they had nothing to distract the public from. Even if they did it for that reason, they didn't have to, because actually Dominic Cummings helped him. The more he came out to target the Prime Minister personally, the public didn't care. Whereas if when he said Matt Hancock is a liar, people cared more about that than, Boris Johnson said something controversial out of context, but that's Boris. Yeah, right. He actually didn't affect him in the opinion polls, you can see.
I know, that
but
was
also,
just weird.
I think the thing about Matt Hancock being called a liar is that everybody kind of thinks he is anyway.
Well, they know that. It's not new.
Really
it's like,
news.
Here's a bear going into the woods. I mean, really? Okay, fine. Yeah. Anyways, the reason I'm nominating Carrie is because she now has to sleep with Boris Johnson. I'm sorry, Harry.
I'm sorry to break it to you, Dawn, but I think they may have already done that.
Actually, now they're married, they've probably got to stop, haven't they?
But, because everybody knows what happens when you get married. You stop sleeping with them.
I know. Legally, she's going to have sex with Boris Johnson. I just don't even want to think about that.
I don't.
And this shabby chic festival wedding, he was wearing a suit and tie. What sort of festivals has she been going to?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see people at festivals dressed in suits and ties.
No, absolutely not.
Also, it wasn't like she was dressed like a hippie. She was just wearing
not fully, no.
But
a flower with some flowers around her neck or something.
Yeah.
She was hanging herself with the flowers, mate. They were in her hair.
Oh, in her hair.
In her defence, though, I would like to say that she was getting the money worth for those very expensive curtains she's got. Because they doubled up as a wedding dress.
But luckily, she didn't pay for that. She just rented it, didn't she?
From Boohoo.
Who rents a wedding dress?
I don't know. I mean,
that's another weird thing.
And if you're going to rent one, love, rent one that
proper
fits.
one.
I'm sorry.
Oh, you're being very hard on her.
I know. But she can take it.
She can.
She's got to marry Boris Johnson. And finally, on this wedding of the year...
So who was at this wedding, by the way? Because all we know is that
we don't know, because in the photo, in the background, there were a lot of drinks and canapes and stuff.
You're only allowed 30 people to it, aren't you?
Yes.
So my theory was that
So it wasn't enough for all of his family?
Well, I was all his kids. That is exactly what I was going to say. He wasn't quite sure how many kids were going to turn up, so if he gets married now, you got the rule of 30.
Well, I do wonder.
With the dog.
The dog,
yeah. I mean, he does like to keep his private life private, doesn't he? Which is presumably why he issued a picture from the wedding.
Yeah.
How does that work?
Yeah. But look, it's a lovely story. It's a happy marriage, and
happy ending.
I'll give it 2 years.
Well, yeah, I mean, the ending has yet to be written, of course, but you'd be a very brave man to suggest that this is the final time Boris Johnson gets married.
She has created a vacancy now.
Well, there is that.
I'm not commenting on it.
Mysteries, marries her lover, vacancy.
I think those days are over for Boris, though, aren't they?
Well, that's what I say about Henry VIII after the third time.
No, but the problem for Boris, he can't actually do anything now because he's followed around constantly by the Secret Service or whatever you call them, the protection people.
Yeah, but I've got to stalk my husband on my phone as well. We do that a lot, us wives.
Yeah, but your husband never goes anywhere without you, though, does he?
No, he's not allowed out of the house.
You know what he fans wasn't like a rock star or something. So he was like when he was younger, he was like a rock star sort of guy, like kind of going out. So you have to look after him.
Boris or my husband?
Your husband?
Yes. No, I think that's the thing.
No, he was short, fat and ginger. He's never been a rock star.
I mean, I think it's good that he's married her, because I did say, actually, way back at the beginning, before any of this happened, before they moved into Downing Street, that I didn't think it was a great idea to move into Downing Street with, his latest girlfriend. Because you're kind of going, well, you are now the head of state, effectively. I know the Queen is, but, you're the Prime Minister. Yep. You've got people coming, whether it's Viktor Orban or various other, sort of distinguished guests.
Yeah, and you've got your birds sitting around.
Here's my bird Carrie. Yeah. Right, boys. But now at least it's Mrs. Johnson.
Get the kettle on,
and and some people said he did it because he wanted to do that in time for the G7, so that when he turns up for the pictures,
so she'll be now
the
official
part
wife,
of the official, the party.
Who's he taken as the girlfriend though?
Well, I think you've been very cynical.
Me? I just never happens.
Of course not. That would be wrong. All right, so listen, I'm going to stick with the theme that we're on, and I'm going to go Dominic Cummings, because even though it seems a long way away now, it was only less than a week, wasn't it, that he was up there chatting.
Nearly as far as Barnard Castle away.
But what about? I mean, and the reason he's a plank is not because I don't particularly like the guy. I don't really give him much thought. But anyone who could sit anywhere for 7 hours talking about something which nobody really cares about, you just
didn't even have a pee.
No.
I mean, also the other thing I thought was, this is another guy who wrote. I think he's still writing a sort of 70 tweet thread of all the things that he knows.
Do that? It's too much.
And you just think you need to get on with it.
Just make a YouTube video. It's easier.
Get a job. Move on. Stop saying that everything was crap, even though you were part of it being crap. I mean, the fact that he said, and I also made a lot of mistakes. I didn't have any right to be there. Nobody. I mean, talk about the sort of the fake humility. The sort of humble brag. Oh, I'm not very clever. But there are lots of people who are much cleverer than me. Who, it's like, sorry. What I'd like him to do now is give back all the money that he's been paid to work for the country as a general principle, because he, by his own admission, he wasn't very good at his job.
No. But that's the thing about what he did, the expose, was before he joined, and for centuries and decades, we already know that the establishment, the Whitehall machine, the bureaucracy doesn't work. It's a bit of a mess, a lot of mistakes, corruption sometimes. So, and he already knew. That's why he said, I'm going in there to fix it. And then when he left, he said, guys, I've discovered there are a lot of things that we have to kind of expose. I'm going to show. But we already knew all this. He just started talking about all this nerdy stuff that no one really cared about.
And also, by the time he'd got to the Barnard Castle story and said, actually, that was all a lie because I couldn't tell you the truth, you're kind of going, right, so all the stuff you're telling us now is the truth.
Well, this is the thing.
You can't admit to being a liar and then say, but you've got to believe me on this. I'm not lying about this.
So everyone's believing a liar, talking about other liars. And it's like there's some weird sort of thing going on.
That's the thing. Same people.
It's like it's just a sociopath.
Well, these people a year ago didn't believe him, and now
the media love it.
Yeah, now they believe it.
That was a complete thing, wasn't it? It was like, how 1 minute can he be the most hateful, lying little toad for driving up to Barnard Castle?
Also, supposedly, was he not also being painted when he was in Downing Street as the man that was running everything?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now he's saying actually it wasn't him at all.
I was just a puppet.
I was present but not involved.
Well, he's saying that they wouldn't do what he said.
No.
Which tells you that either he's lying about that or they won't do what he said.
I think he might be lying.
So do you think he was running it then? No.
I think Carrie's running the whole thing.
I think Carrie is
the blonde is running the whole thing. And go girl.
She is.
Just change the frock.
Well, she's only borrowed it. She won't be wearing it again.
Yeah,
you never know. You never know.
It is extraordinary.
You never know when she'll be needing another wedding dress.
But I mean, the other thing is that everybody's moved on. Everybody else has moved on. Nobody's really. I'm not thinking about what happened last March or last April. No. And I think most ordinary people.
Actually, I remember that bit.
Most ordinary people. Luckily, I've got very short-term memory. I don't remember much beyond what happened yesterday. But basically, most people have sort of been happily moving on, thinking about going on holiday. Yeah. Thinking about getting out and about, going to the pub, going to the restaurants, going shopping, and I don't actually think it was very helpful for him either to say that, a lot of people died unnecessarily. That's just rubbish.
Well, we don't know that. Exactly. No one can prove it.
No.
Yeah.
And B,
but it's quite a dangerous piece of information.
No, absolutely. Of course, I thought that was wrong, and I thought that was out of all of it, and you can take the mickey as much as you want, but I thought that was just not the right thing to say. Because that's messing about
with people's heads, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. The problem with all these debates, especially when it comes to Cummings coming out to expose the pandemic mistakes and things like that, when we know even right now with this whole virus and the whole thing, it's like anything else in science. It's not black and white. There are opinions and things change anyway. Yeah. It's not like with Brexit, for example, when it would say that was the wrong solution and this is the right approach. Even right now, there's still a divide. But that was the right approach, or a lot of the deaths were actually of COVID or with COVID, or what's the situation and the consequences of lockdown. He didn't talk about any of that. No. He just said it's black and white. This is where they messed up, and it's because of Boris everyone died. Yeah. And then but you didn't do anything about it between March and December.
If there was ever to be any kind of sort of class action suit brought against the government, he would be to blame for that.
Of course he would, absolutely.
And if he was part of it, then he should also be sued.
And would you employ him now? I mean, he is seriously. No. I mean, could you trust that man ever?
No, I don't think anyone could trust him, because he's shown one thing he's proven beyond a reasonable doubt is that he's betrayed the bloke that he worked for.
Absolutely.
And I mean, I put out a picture of him. You remember that picture that went out on the night of the election of 2019, where Boris is doing this, and Carrie's sort of laughing, and then he's standing behind her with a laptop. But he doesn't look as if he's not part of all that. Yeah. He doesn't look as if he's looking at Boris going, you can't do this job, you shouldn't be here, and I can't believe that you won the election. He's not saying any of that.
Hypocritical.
So he's a bit of a slimy, snaky kind of snake oil salesman, I think.
Who looks like Golem, actually.
And he's not, I suppose, as clever. I must admit, I did think he was a very smart, clever guy, but I don't think he is now.
No.
Just because it shows what a poor judge of character you are.
Well, I've always been a poor judge of character. I mean, look who I've brought in
someone
here.
could be good at certain thing in a certain time, and then that's it. But they don't have any other skill.
The whole betrayal, isn't it? The disloyalty. It's just really... You couldn't ever work with someone like that.
No, you really couldn't. Absolutely not. So, Maya, back to you for your second one.
Yes, right. I am now going to target the establishment. King's College of London.
Quite right.
Oh my
Not a
God.
million miles from here.
It's okay. This story, for those who don't know, is we've been hearing these sort of things every day, every week for the past couple of years. King's College essentially cancelled Prince Philip. Following his death, they sent out these emails and bulletins and memos and with his photos, and obviously Prince Philip died because he was already connected to King's College.
Yeah.
When you become a patron or a governor or something, it's part of the tradition.
Yeah.
And then the academics and some of the students kicked off, and the establishment in King's College decided to apologise. And not only apologise for having a picture of apparently a racist, according to them.
A racist?
Yeah, according to them.
Racist and sexist, actually.
And everything, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But apparently the biggest problem was racist, specifically. I don't know why. Because, they say he was sexist, racist, homophobic, everything, right?
Yeah.
But for that specific thing, it was mostly racist. I don't know why. But they decided to not just apologise for that email. Oh, we didn't mean to. But they also said that, obviously, it was the devil. And we have to cancel. My problem with all these weird U-turns, cancelling the cancel culture is, whether it's Hollywood or academia, these are the people who 5 years ago, 10 years ago, they had these certain characters becoming patron or becoming the governor of the school or whatever, and then they discover somehow, half an hour later, this person is bad.
Yeah.
So are you not also responsible to cancel yourself for your judgment?
Well, you would have thought. Yeah.
If you think that person was evil, like Prince Philip is evil, then you decided to also add him to your school. So maybe you're responsible too.
Yeah. Well, this is the
You should
same.
resign.
This is the same outfit because King's College has got quite a few campuses around here. One of them is over by Guy's Hospital as part of the hospital sort of grounds. I think I guess it's a medical training facility or something like that. But they've still got boarded up the statue of Thomas Guy, who's the bloke who founded the hospital.
Yep.
Both Guy's and St Thomas's over in Waterloo, where Boris Johnson ended up going, because it's thought to be offensive, because it might well be that he had some links to, I think it was the South Sea Bubble Company or something like that.
Oh, God.
When, that was where some of his money came from,
Yep,
but not by no means all. But he was a philanthropist who opened a hospital for poor people.
How many people's lives have been saved?
Yeah.
No, but he also,
know.
specifically opened it for poor people in London so that they could be treated by doctors. I mean, it's just bizarre.
Nonsense.
The thing is, the King's College, it was actually their anti-racism group, and of course, which college doesn't have that these days?
You've got to have one of those.
I know. They said they've been harmed by it.
Harmed?
Harmed.
How?
They're harmed by, and they've got the picture here. They're harmed by a picture of the Philip and the Queen opening a library.
Yeah.
If
Well,
you're
that's pretty offensive.
if you're
listen,
seriously
I'm starting to get triggered.
suffering
to be
mental
honest.
harm, it's a pretty bad hat,
libraries
to be fair.
have books.
I know. But
Books
Yeah.
are bad.
did you read the other bit
With
of the
words
story?
in that you might not like.
One of the people there, she's the head of partnership and liaison.
Of course.
Whatever that means.
Her role is to decolonise the library of offensive books.
Yeah, good idea. I would do that, definitely.
Didn't the Nazis do that?
How long does that take?
The Nazis were quite good at that.
Why don't you just cut out the middleman and just burn them all?
What-
Yeah.
Forget about
sticks.
decolonising it. Just set fire to it.
I'm not sure anyone's ever thought about burning books.
Really?
I
No.
know.
I'm sure it will work. If we have tried it in the past,
Yeah.
I'm sure it works.
Absolutely
But when Che Guevara
Also,
tried it, when
does
Hitler
anybody
tried
know
it.
which king King's College is named after? Because that could be a problem.
Oh yeah, if they find out which
Oh
king.
my God.
Which king is it? Is it Ethelred, the Unready?
It's one of those, isn't it?
Could it be
It's
one of the
Anglo-Saxon.
Georges?
Martin Luther King.
Could be. No, definitely not him.
Oh, okay.
I don't think it's named after
No,
him.
they probably will change it to that
King
at
of
some
Pop,
point.
Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
That
King
could be
Pop.
problematic.
Yeah, actually, you can't do that. No,
Can't do
it's
that.
no good.
irony
Scratch
is
that idea.
the irony of them accusing Prince Philip of being a racist and a fascist,
Oh,
whilst decolonising their library
Yeah.
of books that are offensive, which the Nazis
which is
did.
fascist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Philip actually literally
Yeah.
fought against the Nazis
He
during
did.
the war.
That's true.
It's just the maddest story. I mean,
amazing, yeah.
sorry, you and
Yeah.
I could say whatever we want now, but I think mine as
I
well.
know.
Yeah.
No. Well, do you
To the
think so?
pub.
Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah.
That. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
what's your second one then? You've got a
How
chance
can I
to
follow
catch
that?
up.
How
You
can
have a
I
chance.
follow that? Excuse me. I'm going to go for some Puppet Muppets.
Puppet Muppets. It's a good headline.
It's a good headline.
It is.
It's in the paper called The Sun.
Of course it is.
Once upon a time. Right, this is Brussels bosses, or the EU as we call them.
Right, I thought we'd given up writing stories about that lot.
No, because they still have some of our money.
Do you know, I was surprised to learn that we were still paying into their ridiculous fund.
Well, yeah, but why?
Up until last December.
But they're spending it wisely, Mike.
Are they?
This is the important thing. They're spending
That's
it
the
very
main thing.
wisely. They're using British taxpayers' cash on dance and puppetry lessons for asylum seekers.
Okay, that's actually funny.
They've spent almost
Dancing.
£350,000 on projects to help migrants fit in. One of these is where refugees are taught to dance like fishes.
What is that for when they're on the boat?
I'm not sure
That's
you
funny.
can say that.
I can say
but it's called.
What makes no sense? Why?
Why? I don't know.
But you know why?
You
know why? Because there will be somebody sitting in that Brussels bureaucratic, bastion of BS, in which they come up with stuff like this, where they go, "This will be good," because it's been a dangerous journey from Syria. So you've come all the way through the war-torn part of southern Iraq. You've worked your way across Turkey.
Yeah.
Now you've got to Brussels. Why don't you learn how to dance like a fish? I mean, just beggars belief, doesn't it? You can make it up.
That makes no sense.
Because it'll make you feel like you've got more self-esteem, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, because a lot of things that they do, obviously, we criticise because they're using taxpayers' money. It's waste. My problem is not even about the waste of that.
No.
It's just why.
It's idiotic.
It's just why.
Also, why does it cost 350 grand to teach somebody how to dance?
Well, no, and
I mean, there's a dance studio around the corner there. It costs about £10.
There's a free app on iPhone.
Yeah, I learned how to
give us a
dance
shot.
like a
Come on.
tiger. No, I can't do it here.
Like a
I have to
tiger?
be naked.
No, this
I'm not
escalated very
talking about
quickly.
it anymore.
we should start dancing like a tiger naked.
Cancel, Mike.
You're cancelled. But no, they're also, this is where the money's obviously going, they've been taught how to make puppets out of newspapers and string.
What?
Newspapers and string.
Okay, 350.
No, I'm not
And
having
then
that.
they're using
I'm not having
newspaper.
that.
That's their material to use.
That's crap. They'd be better off buying some, wouldn't they?
And officials say the initiatives challenge preconception.
But they do.
What's impressive
What
is
have
that
you
the
got
Sun
there?
discovered this.
Got
How
some
did the Sun
newspapers.
find out about this story? This is a really good story.
Sorry, I'm just brilliant.
It's just, but all of these organisations, like the woman that you mentioned from King's College, they've all got these kind of ridiculous little departments sitting somewhere, coming up with this
How is
nonsense.
that even a job title?
Right.
I mean,
it's too
head
long.
of partnership and liaison.
Also, that probably presumably means there'll be some dance instructor
there'll be
who's
some
got quite
newspaper.
rich off the back of this, which is like all these people that hang about with sort of government contracts, and you go, Serco. What do you do? I'll tell you what we do. We house migrants, right? Okay, how do you do that? Well, what we do is we pick them up at Dover, we drive them to a hotel. How much does that cost? $2 billion. Okay, fine. And they just give them a load of money.
driver.
They just give them a load of money.
Uber.
Meanwhile, it's all being shoved in the pockets of old Nicholas Soames' brother who runs it.
I know.
And you just think, if you could just get one of those contracts, you'd be made for life.
That's actually the point. I know we already talked about it, but Dominic Cummings, if you want to expose things, the problems of the establishment, you should expose those sort of things.
Well, also,
not these
just to
gossip
go
stuff.
back to him for a minute, wasn't he supposed to be presenting a load of evidence?
Yes.
To back up these claims of his, which still hasn't happened.
No, that hasn't. No.
What's happened to all that?
He's going to tweet it.
Oh, he's in tweeting.
Oh my
I can't
God,
wait.
yeah, no.
Imagine being married to him. I mean, you talk about Carrie Simmons being married to Boris. Imagine being Mrs. Cummings.
Oh my God, yeah.
Christ.
Imagine if Cummings and
Come
Carrie
on,
were together.
Dominic. Let's
Sleeping
go
with
out for
Golem.
lunch. No, I'm still working on the book. I mean, do me a favour.
Oh no. Oh God, I'm going to have to go and wash my brain out after this.
I know.
Sex with
started
Boris
this?
Johnson, sex
And
with Dominic
Dominic Cummings,
Cummings.
yeah, I know.
Oh my God.
tell you
Mike's
what's-
tiger dance as well.
Naked tiger dance.
tiger dance.
You've got
Naked.
to be very careful when you put hashtag Cummings into Twitter, I can tell you that. Anyway, my second nomination is Ruth Wishart. Now, she may not be known to you two because she's a bit of a fixture up in Scotland. When I was working up there, you get to know all these characters. And she is a woman of a certain age, I would say, even older than you, Dawn. I don't mean that in a bad way, obviously.
Very few people
She
live
writes-
that long,
she
and
writes
you're
a
pushing
column.
your luck.
She writes a column, or used to write a column in the Daily Record. She calls herself a sort of freelance journalist stroke broadcaster, and has always been quite pro-independence in Scotland. Right? Now, this week, The Telegraph newspaper which sells not only in England but also in Scotland. In fact, they have a Scottish political editor who writes about what happens in Scotland. They put out a tweet which had obviously a link to one of their travel articles saying, swap the hassle of a foreign break for Scotland's most beautiful isles. So a lovely piece about Scotland's beautiful islands, which if you've ever been up there is
stunning,
spectacular.
really lovely.
I mean, honestly, very spectacular. I mean, if you thought that you were in the Caribbean, I mean, obviously it's a bit colder, but you know, they've got these beautiful golden sandy white beaches,
sand beaches, aren't they? And blue
up at the west side by
and
Skye and all that. Anyway, she decides to tweet out over the top of it, just what our beautiful isles don't need more Tory graph readers. And you just think, what's wrong with you?
That's a bit xenophobic.
Well, it's very xenophobic.
I think it is, absolutely, isn't it?
But it's typical of the way that the kind of the message has changed in Scotland, where you've just got all these horrible people who hate everything to do with England and can't quite disguise it. I mean, she had to apologise later and say that she was trying to make a joke.
I bet she really meant it.
But it didn't go very well.
No.
You know, in the same way that Nicola Sturgeon kind of stokes up all his anti-English feeling and makes out that, you know, it's the English government's fault and we don't believe that the Home Office has any jurisdiction here and we'll make sure that you can't throw out any illegal immigrants because we don't have a hostile environment. I mean, unbelievable the way that it's going. And of course, there are so many people in Scotland who I still know and talk to on a regular basis who are very happy to be part of the United Kingdom.
Of course, a lot of
they don't want, you know, 2/3 of them.
Do,
only 1/3 of people actually vote for the SNP. So you know, 2/3 of them don't, which tells you that, you know, the majority of people actually don't want to be, you know, a separate country. They want to be part of the United Kingdom. But she is just ludicrous and a very good example of a McPlank, as I call it.
It is, because we've seen a lot of times when the SNP leadership come out and say, no, we're only criticising the English governments and the politicians.
Westminster.
Yeah, but when it gets to the actual cybernets on Twitter, all the SNP fans and all it's like the Corbynistas. Corbyn says, I'm not anti-Semitic, but then his fans come out, you know, say Jewish people should die. It's the same with this.
It's not anti-Semitic. That's yes, it is.
That's just murderous.
Yeah,
but then it's the same with they attack any English person, but now they've reached a new level. They now say Tories in Scotland or Unionists in Scotland, the actual Scottish people, they're not Scottish. They should go to England.
I know.
Well, do you see that even, I think it was Alex Salmond today in the papers was having a go at Prince William for meeting up, because William and Kate were up there for a while, for meeting up with Gordon Brown.
Yeah.
You know, what did you do that for? Why did you meet Gordon Brown? Well, he used to be Prime Minister. He lives in Scotland. Seems like a reasonable person to talk to. But apparently because Gordon Brown's on the wrong side of the argument. I mean,
it's embarrassing.
It's also,
it really is. I mean, how about this and this is a tweet that appears underneath Ruth Wishart's tweet. This is from a guy called John Stewart, who's got a Scottish flag, funnily enough, in his...
who'd have thought?
And they always go banging on about the Union Jack and how idiotic it is if you've got a flag in your profile, but he's got one. He said, yes, Ruth, finally more people are saying it loudly. Scotland doesn't need your English tourism money, especially if you voted for Boris Johnson and his Tory government. Stay in England or try Wales. We don't care what you do as long as you Tory graph readers stay out of Scotland.
Okay.
And you just kind of go, what?
Has anyone in Scotland actually done the maths of how they're going to survive if they really do shove Hadrian's Wall back up and try to lead a separate... Well, exactly.
No.
Well, do you know, there was a great story
financially.
the other week where Bank of Scotland, you know, which used to be HBOS,
Well,
said that if they went independent, they would move out of Scotland. And their assets are 5 times the GDP of Scotland. That company. One company. So they'd be screwed.
She doesn't do the maths though, Nicola, does she? She just does the rhetoric.
No, she doesn't care about that.
Because I have a feeling at this point, eventually, maybe not yet, there will be some sort of referendum again within the next few years at some point. If there is going to be.
I don't think they'll necessarily win it. And the thing is, though, I don't think they want to have it unless they can be sure. Because if they have another one and they don't win it,
then
they're over.
Surely that's
all
over.
But that's the thing. Yeah, this time the unionists need to run the campaign slightly different. Last night it was the Project Fear and it worked. It was like, you know, it was very vague. Stay with us. If you're not, then you're gonna go bankrupt. This time, they have to actually scrutinise the SNP side, and like what we just said, and actually ask them to present what are you going to do with the border, currency, banking, and everything else.
They can't answer.
And then they can't answer. They really can't.
No. And they go on about wanting to be part of the European Union, which they don't qualify to be as an entity. And they can't qualify to be part of the Euro. And also just the whole idea of the kind of craziness of trying to put a border up. I mean, you see what's going on in Northern Ireland. We're just trying to put one up.
Well, exactly.
Between, you know, Northumberland and the borders.
On the upside, they'd be able to teach migrants how to dance like fish.
That's true. That would be good. Also, they're not illegal migrants in Scotland, the asylum seekers, because they welcome them.
Yeah,
Unless
they've got the copy of the Tory graph in their back pocket.
Well, listen, if they're making the puppets out of the Telegraph, what happens then?
Oh my God!
You know.
Yeah.
That is, I mean, probably what.
I mean, you can see. I mean, we're not a million miles away from Sturgeon saying, you know what, all English newspapers must go, and we will only have because they've got that newspaper called The National, which is read by about 14 people. I think more people produce it than actually read it. You know, but it's so ridiculously over the top nationalistic. But all the English papers like the Mail, Telegraph, the Sun, even although the Sun supports the SNP, and the Record, which is the Daily Mirror. You know, they're all considered to be part of the enemy because they're not really Scottish newspapers.
We're back to fascism and burning books and newspapers again, aren't we? Censorship.
Oh yeah, you can't be reading that. It might give you some ideas.
And this is all in our new inclusive, cuddly-wuddly,
progressive,
be kind.
Progressive world.
Yeah, be
Hashtag
kind.
Be kind.
Hashtag be kind.
Oh my God.
So you know how we carry one over every single week, right? So normally it turns out to be Prince Harry or Meghan.
Usually.
Because they are very far ahead in the plank of the... Because I'm keeping tabs now on the plank of the year rather than doing it all at the end. So at the moment, the league table, they're way ahead. I know.
I know.
It's quite a boring life I've got, really. Anyway, but this week, I almost changed my mind on who to carry over because of Femi. Because if you remember, Femi this week went absolutely crazy on Twitter because he got nominated by Emily Carver, right? And, you know, he seems to forget that he claims I'm obsessed with him, right? First of all, I didn't nominate him. Secondly, you know, he has hardly ever appeared on Plank of the Week, but we've been doing Plank of the Week for over a year now. And since the beginning of this year, I think he's been on it twice.
Right.
And I worked out we've actually nominated something like 200 different people as Planks of the Week, right? So he's obviously got a very overinflated
So clearly he watches it every week.
Well, that's a good sign. The clips that we put out, right?
Have you seen the clip that Femi put out? He did a slow-mo focusing in on Mike.
Right. And went on for days.
Weird.
Accused us of defamation. Right, which he clearly doesn't understand. Also, complained to Ofcom and said that we were bullying him, and somehow was like, you know, offended terribly because we were making fun of the way he speaks and the way he looks. Well, that's called Plank of the Week. You know, you make fun of the way people speak and look, especially if you speak like him.
To each other.
And look like him.
What the state are you, for God's sake?
I know, listen, don't. I'll have to complain. I'll have to complain
You're
to
not even wearing matching jackets.
So I did think about carrying him over and making him...
What's that stain on there as well? Oh my God.
That wasn't there before you sat next to me. Have you been sneezing on me or something?
It was after the Tiger dance.
She's got a cold, she claims.
COVID.
Says it's not COVID. No, but, you know, so, you know, clearly he's got a bit of a sort of problem with self-delusion, I think.
Fetish.
Yeah. So I thought to myself, maybe it's him that's actually obsessed with me. And actually, therefore, I shouldn't carry him over. Because if I carry him over, he'll just make another fuss and think it's because I'm obsessed with him. But I can tell you, Femi, I'm not obsessed with you, mate. In fact, I wish you'd just go away.
Unrequited passion.
Yeah. I mean, and also, this is a guy that turns up to the opening of a biscuit tin, right? And he said, and about 2 days later, he was on Talk Radio, because people are always hiring him to come on Talk Radio, but we don't pay him, right? And somebody said to him, how dare you go back on Talk Radio after that big row you had with Mike Graham? And he went, oh, well, I did consider, you know, not going on.
The thing is with Femi,
he can't stop himself.
He's good value for money.
No,
Come on.
Well, he is if you're not paying him. He's great value for money if you don't pay him.
He's a rubbish Ash Sarker. He's no Ash Sarker. He tries to be.
Yeah, well,
I think he's quite fun sometimes.
Yeah, but you like everybody, though.
Yeah, I do like everybody.
She likes everybody. She works with them all on Jeremy Vine.
Well, my friend Jeremy Vine, hi Jeremy, he did actually say, I've never been nominated for Plank of the Week.
He did. Well, he's a big fan of mine, Jeremy Vine.
Yeah.
You know, he loves my show. Well, exactly. Well, apparently Femi. But anyway, so I'm sorry to say, Femi, you haven't made it to be carried over, so we'll carry over Prince Harry instead. And you were telling me earlier that you've had some run-ins with Prince Harry's fans.
Hags. I've dabbed.
Are they women? Hags. Are they all women?
They are mostly women.
Are they all obsessed with him?
They are all obsessed with him. And you know what? This was the most. You can look. Call me what you want. I really don't care. But the funniest thing. Yeah, I know. Yeah, even that. But the funniest thing was, they accused me. I dared to criticise Harry because he threw his family's mental health under the bus while protesting about his own.
Yes.
Okay, sod nan and dad. My mental health's more important than my grieving. My
sick.
Yeah, exactly.
Grandfather.
Okay, so I dared to criticise that behaviour, which I think is fairly fair, isn't it? Yeah, it's not. I wasn't saying.
Well, I mean, you are actually allowed to have an opinion.
Yeah, of course.
You know, the problem with Harry and Meghan is they'd like to outlaw anybody's opinion about them, unless you like them.
Any case, the funniest thing was, bearing in mind I'm a lady of a certain age, was that the Harry's hags all thought I was just had my nose put out of joint because I wanted to marry him, and I was jealous.
Well, of course, that would
Meghan.
be your only motivation. Do they not know that you're a star columnist, literally? Hey?
Do they not realise that I'm old enough to be his bloody granny?
Yeah, also...
And I've got a ginger one at home, thank you. I don't recommend it.
No, and also, you might have fancied him before he was emasculated. But now that he's been emasculated, it's not the sort of bloke you like, is it?
Cradle snatching at the very, very worst. It really would.
Yeah, I feel another complaint coming on.
Balls as well.
I feel another complaint coming on.
From Meghan.
Anyway, Prince Harry, I'm afraid you're going to be carried over.
Well,
he's not going to be too high up the
It's
the
Harry
planks.
Tags rather than Harry himself.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, yeah, but that still counts as him. I think.
Fair enough.
It's always
Fair
fun,
enough,
anyway.
yeah.
So, Mahyar, now for your third nominee.
Right, we had the Friends reunion the other night.
Oh, yes.
And,
Did you watch it?
Yeah, I watched it. Just kind of wanted to see if they were going to manage to ruin the legacy of Friends. I mean, a lot of people obviously didn't really like Friends or watch it, but in terms of, because these days the woke culture destroys everything. I just wanted to see.
Well,
what
they all
they're
hate it,
gonna
don't
find.
they?
Yeah.
The wokists all say that it's
they
a
already
terrible,
say
nasty, racist,
transphobic,
heightist, everything. But they managed to come up with something new, which is fascinating. Which was, it wasn't the fans, it wasn't the woke side, it was the producer himself, Kevin Bright, who came out.
Kevin, not so bright as it turns out.
Clearly, because when he was asked about his regrets about the show, he said, "Well, there's only one. I wish that Lisa Kudrow, who plays Phoebe, was black." He didn't say, "I wish Phoebe was black."
Yeah.
Specifically said the actress, because I was like, okay, that's quite interesting. Because firstly, why?
Yeah, why Phoebe?
The show works.
Why not Jennifer Aniston?
She was the one with the long blonde hair.
Why not one of the lead
She was
characters?
the
I
kind
know
of-
there were no lead characters.
She was kind of
but
the
you knew that
wacky
Ross
one.
and Rachel were the main
She was
ones.
kind of the wacky one, wasn't she?
She was like the kind of sideshow one. But I mean,
Yeah.
they were all technically equal. But why was it just a tokenism?
Yeah.
I don't know. But just make Phoebe,
Right.
well, not Phoebe, Lisa Kudrow black. But what is it going to achieve? I always wonder when these people come out and say, "Well, I wish she was black." If you do that, are you going to eliminate racism? Is it just over?
No. Well, I saw today, for example, like one of the times that we did Plank earlier on this year, we nominated the Anne Boleyn actress, didn't we?
Oh, that's all this week.
And I saw a great big double-page spread advert today for Channel 5's show, the Anne Boleyn business.
I didn't nominate her. I defended her, actually.
Yeah, you did.
Anne Boleyn or the...
Anne Boleyn, I'm a big fan.
Big fan of Anne Boleyn, yeah. And the Boleyns. So it reminded me of that row you had with Kevin O'Sullivan.
Yeah.
It took me back, actually. It gave me a bit of a sort of PTSD, I think.
Aww.
Because I was thinking about all the rows you used to have.
Didn't you sack me after that?
Yes.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I sacked them both, actually, because they were getting on my nerves so much. Also, it happened to coincide with letting other people into the building, so, because they'd been very stalwarts. They'd poor things had to put up with me and each other for the best part of about 3.5 months until we were allowed to get anybody else back in.
Kevin Bright, you're obviously not talking about Kevin, are you? Sorry, Kev, love you.
Yeah, he'll be back later another time. I'm going to get you back together as well. It'll be a special edition of Plank
Kevin,
of the Week.
what have you done to deserve this?
Yeah, I mean, also, was it not all a bit of a sham anyway, the whole reunion? Because it wasn't really... lots of people said to me, we were expecting like a show.
Something,
But in fact, all it was them sitting around.
Interviews.
So is that what they did?
Talking.
And wasn't James Corden involved?
He was involved, yeah.
He was the host there, yeah. He didn't do as bad as I thought he could have done.
Okay, that's high praise.
Yeah, it was just about right. I don't know how he's doing so well in America. It's a bit of a surprise as a Brit.
Well, they're not very
obviously.
bright over there,
But,
right?
yeah.
Notwithstanding the guy's name. And so when they meet people, they kind of go... I mean, when I used to work there, back in the 80s, a long time ago, whenever I went outside of New York, if it wasn't somewhere like LA or something, I used to just tell people I was from New York because it was easier. So I went to Detroit once and I went to this bar and the guy's like, "Where are you from?" I said, "I'm from New York." And he said, "Everybody's rude there, aren't they?" And I said, "Who told you that?" And he goes, "David Letterman." And I said, "Well, what the F would he know?"
Yeah.
Thinking he'd get the joke, but
Yeah,
he didn't get the joke. He was like,
No.
and he didn't even recognise that I had an English accent because they never see anybody English in Detroit. They just don't. And so, I would go all over the country and just pretend that I was from New York.
That's brilliant.
Because they used to have a brand of raincoat there called London Fog, right? Quite an expensive kind of Burberry style, fashion accessory. And they used to actually ask if it was still really foggy in London.
Right, like P. Super,
Yeah.
the Ripper type thing.
Brilliant.
Couldn't believe it. Literally couldn't
The
believe
one
it.
thing about your story you've just told, Mike, that is confusing me, it must have been a real task for you to pretend to be rude.
I wasn't pretending to be rude.
No, but-
People say that I became rude when I lived in New York, because in the 80s, New York was a very rude place.
You're
and
not
you
in
had
New
to-
York anymore, though, are you?
Yeah, I know, but I just
Right.
that's the way I've become.
Really?
London
Bridge, New
it
York,
suited me
same
down to the ground. I was actually quite nice before I went there.
Right.
And then I came back
Foggy
and,
and rude.
foggy and rude, yeah. A lot richer as well. But anyway, so Kevin Bright from Friends is your third one. Who's your third one?
Mine is, I'm going to go for the wonderful organisation that is the World Health Organisation. Who?
Get it?
So good, isn't it?
I
It's
know.
so good.
It's like boomer joke.
It could be on
Love
radio. Any case, yeah. So they have obviously not got a lot going on in the world at the moment. Just a sort of like a bit of a.
They're pretty useless as well, actually.
flu
I mean, these are the
bug
same
going around.
people, by the way, who said. These are the same people who said back in January, I think, of 2020, that this is not a disease which is transmissible from animals to humans.
They've said everything, haven't they?
Huh?
They've said masks are
Masks don't
pointless.
work.
Oh, wear a mask.
Yeah.
They've said it's
They
not.
say lockdowns are good, then they say lockdowns are bad.
Bad, yeah.
So they don't know they're
Yeah.
can I say
No.
I can't. Bottom from their elbow.
Bottom
in
from
any
their
case.
elbow will do, yeah.
But they have decided that because we're all a bit racist, that we have got to stop saying the Chinese variant, the Kent variant,
Oh, yeah.
the Indian variant, because that's racist.
Is it?
Yeah, obviously.
Is it?
Obviously racist.
Well, even though it's from India.
You can't say that.
That's bad news for the old curry houses, isn't it? They have to change all the names. The Indian restaurant. No! No, don't say that.
Anyway, to make it all simpler and less racist, they have decided that they are going to use Greek letters to refer to all the coronavirus
that's
variants that are already out there. And
So you have to match the letter to the start to the name of the country. Like, what would be
I don't know
I,
how
for
they assigned it,
example?
but we, the UK one, Kent's got Alpha. So we are Alpha.
We're,
We're
so
alpha,
I mean,
but I quite like
We're
being
alpha.
alpha.
Yeah, we're
that's
winning.
the first. So
Alpha.
we're top of the
Alpha,
list. Then.
beta, gamma, delta.
Gammon.
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 The
Gammon.
variant. The Gammon variant.
Well, I mean,
from Surrey.
A lot of people who would be described as gammon probably did get COVID.
Well, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's a fashion house called Kappa.
Yes.
And there's a Greek letter.
Well, they're not going to like being
Yeah,
called
Kappa.
after
No, I know,
a variant,
it's
are
like,
they?
It'll do what it did for Corona lager.
Well, what about Alpha? There's bound to be something called Alpha, isn't there? And Beta.
Beta?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Beta. What? There must be things called after
Any
that.
case, so you can no longer say.
What's it got to do with them? What we call it anyway? It's not like they're in charge of the variants, are
But the
they?
problem
Well, I
is,
don't know.
even they've gone woke. I mean, they were already kind of woke on a more scientific
Woke health
level.
organisation.
But they've gone, woke health organisation. Because but the problem is, when it was the Kent or UK variant, no one cared. When it was a South African, no one cared. When it was a Brazilian, no one cared.
Yeah.
Now that it's Indian variant, they're
yeah.
like, now that's racist.
Yeah, that's
Because,
racist,
India,
yeah.
you can't be rude
Yeah.
to India. Like, we're just saying Indian because that you guys say. The
Yeah.
scientists, you
Yeah.
guys told us they came
Yeah.
from India.
Yeah.
Well,
so
it did
it's
come
just-
from India.
But it's why? I mean, we get taken to
Always
task for
discovered that, at
calling it
least.
the Indian variant, okay, because that's sort of what it is. And
How about it's just called no variant at all? Just call it coronavirus.
It's just coronavirus.
It's the same thing,
And yet
isn't
the
it?
French filled their boots with calling the Kent variant.
The English one,
The
yeah.
English one.
Yeah, I think the Germans did that as well.
Yeah.
Because they claimed that
The
they were
Brexit
suffering.
variant.
They were suffering. They were suffering because of the English variant, and that's why they had
It's
to
the
shut
English
lockdown
variant,
again.
and that's why we don't want the English over here anymore.
Well, there's one from Vietnam now. What are they going to call that? The Vietnam variant.
Well, what's the letter for V in the Greek
What's the
alphabet?
letter for V?
Viagra.
Yeah. Viagra.
It's not word association.
Well, no, but that's what they're doing. So you've got to know the
But
Greek
hang on, you meant
alphabet.
alpha, beta, gamma, didn't you?
And
So-
Delta.
Delta, yeah.
Well, gamma's not C, is it?
No.
I didn't say it was.
Well, why are you doing them in the wrong order?
Well, I'm not. I'm reading this off.
Blame them, not
No, I'm alpha, beta, gamma, delta, respectively.
See, if you were a
Actually,
proper...
no, gamma. Is gamma C?
It's not a C, is it? It's a G.
I'm not getting wrong
No,
with this.
no, because it doesn't work like
I wonder
that.
how long
no.
you're going to go with
It doesn't work like that.
I didn't know I was going to be doing Greek. Plank of the week.
Well,
Boris Johnson
Plank
would
of
know.
the week.
He knows his Greek.
Plank
so-
of the Greek.
but so many of our words come from ancient Greek and ancient Latin that we use today, including the word anus. Which is precisely where they should
Is that what
stick-
it means in the same...
Which is precisely where they
mean
should
the same
stick
thing
this
in Greece,
idea.
or not?
Well, yeah.
Knowing
Anus.
the Greek history, definitely.
It means, I think, and I'm going to say this
How do
with
we
a
get onto this?
straight
What's
face.
happening?
It means ring. I'm not making
You're
it up.
joking.
I'm not making
This is
it
out of
up,
control.
No.
Well, as in, give me a ring, or... I think they had phones in ancient Greece.
No.
So what are we talking about?
The very serious matter of the World Health Organisation,
Yeah.
who are planks.
They are. I'm happy with that.
Chris Smith
We
did
should
nothing
probably
wrong.
draw a line over the rest of it, or a veil even.
And the word penis as well, that comes.
Is that from ancient Greece too?
That's from World Health Organization.
It's ancient Greek or ancient Latin, take your pick.
Okay, thanks.
You could just say the Indian variant.
That's enough ancient languages, Ed, I think, is the answer to that one. Now, I'm going to go back.
more.
I'm going to go traditional. I'm sure you have. That's enough out of you. Luckily, we're about to run out of time, I think. Not really.
You've got to do something
I've
now.
got to do one more.
Come on.
I've got to do Sir Keir Starmer, who's normally on the list. He's on the list this week because he's finally going to be broadcasting this week on the ITV network with Piers Morgan, Life Stories.
I can't wait.
I was saying
I really think I'm
earlier,
gonna
it's going to be the shortest Life Stories show of all time because he hasn't done anything really that's of any interest.
What
to
night is
everybody.
it on?
Tonight.
Oh, tonight.
Yeah.
Oh, so I don't need to take
by the
sleeping
time,
tablets tonight.
So by the time, by the time people have started watching this, it'll have been on already. So if you've missed it, you can catch up with it on the ITV player.
Right.
If
Okay.
you like,
It's-
or not.
It's been described as spine tingling.
What?
Whoa.
What's spine tingling bad?
Which would possibly work if he actually had a backbone.
Well, if he did, that would be
But,
interesting.
Yeah, but
I mean, I can't imagine.
Very true.
I mean, what's he going to tell? Sort of exciting tales of daring do when he was, director of public prosecutions.
well, that was sexy.
I
That was
mean,
a very
A lot of
sexy
fun stories
period.
around.
No, and I think Piers
know.
asks him how many times he took illegal drugs when he was a party animal at university.
Well, he didn't, did he?
Well,
Wow.
he didn't answer.
Why didn't he answer that?
He studied law, of course he did.
I mean,
Tried to study law, haven't you?
I mean, who goes to university and doesn't take drugs?
I didn't go to university, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah, well, have you never taken any drugs?
No.
There you go. So it's not hard to answer.
No, so
That's one, because you didn't go to
Easy.
uni.
So I've never. No, actually, it's not. Actually, I see what you did there. It's really not that difficult to answer a straight
No.
question, is it? No, I've never taken drugs.
There you go. Yeah,
Yeah.
could be a lie, but I mean, I believe her. Thousands
Are you
wouldn't.
accusing me of being Dominic Cummings?
Certainly not. Has he
Much
taken
worse
drugs? I mean, imagine having a guy sit in front of you for 7 hours and nobody asked him that question. That's what I would do. Have you ever
you
taken
on
any
drugs?
drugs? Are you actually on drugs now, Dominic?
Yeah, that was one of the questions.
Have you dropped some crystal meth before you
Started talking
came
about
in?
Spider-Man for a
You
while.
know.
Like, are you on drugs talking about Spider-Man?
Yeah, I know. I mean, that was the weirdest thing of all, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
And also, that other movie, Independence Day,
I know,
talks
he was
about.
obsessed with that.
I mean, these guys are very
It's
odd.
weird, isn't
Yeah,
he?
of course he is.
very on some sort of spectrum somewhere.
he is,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, is not
Yeah.
necessarily
No.
a bad thing, but it's just
Well,
a
it is
very...
if it's a sociopathic.
Well, it is.
spectrum.
That's true. But Keir Starmer has to go on it this week for that because, I mean, I can't imagine, one, that he's going to achieve what he wants to achieve, which is to become more popular. I mean, he couldn't be less popular. With every week that goes by, he loses another point in the
I was gonna say,
in the polls. He's-
even with everything that Boris and the Tories are having slung at them.
Yeah, even when the Tories don't go up, the Labour Party still goes down.
Yeah.
They went 2 points down because Reform went up 2
Yeah.
in the last poll. I think
Yeah.
they're now something like 15 points behind the Tories.
Yeah.
And you just think, mate, you're just not interesting. Just step aside.
This is a very Ed
Don't
Miliband
bother.
move.
Yeah.
To try to pretend to be human.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
he,
yeah, it's
He
not-
tried these moves. Don't do it. Don't do
Yeah,
it. Like,
no, just
'cause
don't.
even-
No.
Also, the point is, if you are really boring, don't be yourself, because if
Yeah.
you're going to be yourself, that's not actually going to be of any interest to anyone.
Well, Gordon Brown.
Yeah. Well, Gordon Brown was more interesting because at least he used to fly into a rage every now and again and throw things
Yeah,
at
no,
people.
Yeah, let's
absolutely.
hear some sort of
Yeah,
person.
Shout
yeah,
at people.
yeah.
That was at least something.
You can't see Keir doing
Keir
that.
doesn't seem to do anything like that. He
No.
just kind of stands there.
Well, or sits.
And also, last Prime Minister's questions, right, where he actually could have put
Yeah.
Boris on the rack
Yeah.
because Cummings had been on that morning.
Yeah.
He still managed to miss it. He still literally managed not to pin the Prime Minister down on anything.
He literally
Yeah.
has an open goal every week
Yeah.
and still boots the ball up into Rosette's head.
I know. Well, he is an Arsenal fan.
Oh,
Well, yeah. Like Jeremy. Jeremy Corbyn's an Arsenal
mean,
fan.
you know.
What is it about Arsenal?
It's an Arsenal thing, yeah.
Well, it's the Islington set, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
They all have to live somewhere within the shouting
And
distance of
Sadiq
Emirates
Khan is also an
Stadium.
Arsenal fan. So
He doesn't live up there, does he? He's
no,
from
but he's an
Tooting.
Arsenal fan. But yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure he's mentioned that he's from Tooting a few times and that his dad may have been a
Might
bus
be a
driver.
bus driver.
Yeah.
I think he might have been, yeah.
Something, yeah.
Oh.
Maybe he took the bus up there. I don't know.
free.
Anyway, okay, so now we have to get it down from 9 to
Yes.
3. You remember how to do it, right? I don't need to
Blimey.
give you a refresher course.
Yeah, I'll pick
remember
one
the
of
beginning
yours.
of the
So, yeah, right.
it's
So,
like a cycle.
Dawn, why don't you pick Mahyar's?
Maya, remind me of who's yours were.
So I had Jeremy Corbyn.
Oh, yeah.
Jeremy Corbyn.
Attacking someone for being anti-Semite, ironically. King's College.
that is
for not
good.
Yeah.
realising they have King in their name and then going after Kings. And Kevin Bright for not being Bright, the producer of Friends.
Right, okay. Well, on the grounds I'm slightly allergic to the word Kevin. Sorry, Kev. I'm going to go for the college.
I think King's College is a good choice.
Do you know who their principal is? Their vice principal, by the way.
No.
Princess Anne.
Brilliant.
Do you think they asked her permission before they sent out the pictures or then, apologised?
At King's College, I mean, that is the ultimate in plankdom.
Goodness gracious. Right, well, you can pick mine if you wish.
Yes.
Ruth Wishart, Sir Keir Starmer or Dominic Cummings?
Ooh. Even though I'll go with Ruth because it was so ridiculous. There's these comments about the whole English-Scottish thing, the divide. Even though the Cummings thing is easy target, but I'm going to go with Ruth.
No, I think that's fine because also Cummings has got to be in there somewhere. Doesn't have to win.
Yeah, no.
You know?
Yeah.
Right, so I've got to pick yours.
Right, okay. Mine were Carrie Johnson.
Oh yeah.
Mrs. Johnson.
Carrie Johnson.
I know. Well, she's changed it straight away, haven't you? The World Health Organization.
Yes.
And the EU for their
I quite like the Welsh. The Welsh Health Organisation.
No one mentioned Wales.
They've probably got their own. They can't have their own Welsh Health Organisation. I'm going to go with the World Health Organisation because I mean they should be in Plank of the Week more often anyway.
They should be,
because
exactly.
every bleeding week they do something stupid.
Yeah.
You know,
and
they're
this one
so
is
inconsistent.
At least this one does make you laugh a bit.
And also we pay them loads of money to do whatever it is. They're like the UN, aren't they?
Yeah, we and the US pay a lot to them.
Yeah.
But they spent a lot of money on going to China to find out there was nothing wrong going on in China.
They couldn't figure anything out. Nothing conclusive. Although apparently now we think it came out of the lab, don't we?
Yeah.
Supposedly.
But no, ironically, it's the same US intelligence team that did the same research under President Trump, and then everybody, including the Biden team, said, "Oh, it's a lie." Then the same team said the same thing. Now that President Biden is there, and then Biden's saying, "Now that's true." Like, what? You just said half an hour ago it wasn't true. Who's in charge?
What is it with politicians and lying?
I know.
I think it's part of the job description. Yeah, I think so.
It's part of the practice.
Nobody's surprised. Okay, so now we have the final three then.
Right.
We have King's College,
Yes.
Ruth Wishart, and the World Health Organisation. So it's all up for grabs. They're all quite new as well, but they're not. I don't think any of those three have been. Maybe the World Health Organisation did it once. I don't think King's College has ever been in it.
It's tricky. We can't have two winners, can we?
No, definitely not. No, this is why you're here, because we judge it 1, 2, and 3. You can't do some kind of socialist,
That's what we were doing.
You can't do some kind of, socialist thing.
No one wins, no one loses.
No, they're all winners. We're all winners here.
It's the mix between who and Kings.
I think so. Now, I was going to nominate Kings as well, so you stole them from me. So,
it's all personal with her.
I like winning.
She also likes it to be one of her nominations that wins.
This is what I was going towards.
Yes,
okay, but seeing as
we're here for the bands.
Seeing as
I'm very fair-minded about it.
I was going to. You sacked me.
Well, it wasn't the first time you got sacked, was it? Sorry.
I don't know. What do you reckon? It's your show.
Yeah, but I don't choose. I don't choose. I mean, I would say King's College, I think, because again, World Health Organisation could be in it again.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
King's College probably won't be.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. They've got enormous potential.
Yes, there is that. I think King's College number 1.
Definitely.
I'd go with the World Health Organisation number 2.
And
Ruth Wishart, because she's a bit of a sort of side figure, isn't she? She's not a massive figure.
She doesn't deserve that much attention.
No.
But third is fine.
Yeah.
So we'll make the World Health Organisation number 2.
Excellent. So I sort of won because I let you nominate them, even though I've written about them in my column, which is out until tomorrow.
So, thanks for inventing King's College. You're It was my idea.
Yes, there you go. So, Plank of the Week this week. I did say it might be an institution, funnily enough. Imagine how foresight, much foresight I have. Not hindsight, that would be.
No, hindsight would be Keir Starmer.
That would be Keir Starmer. So, Plank of the Week this week is King's College. Well done, congratulations, great seat of learning. Would you please uncover the statue over the road as well while you're at it? Thank you very much to Dawn and to Mahyar.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time.